Let's talk a little bit about Carney. He is also in a little bit of trouble, I would say. He seems to be getting in trouble lately, a lot. Every couple of days, there's some story about Mr. Carney that's not very nice. Some of his funds are in tax havens in Bermuda. That's not something that voters are going to like very much because, well, Canadians won't like it if their politicians are trying to avoid paying taxes. But this story came out. I mean, tax havens are widely used. It's not completely unheard of. But how do you think this is going to impact him, if it is going to impact him electorally? Do you think this is something that will have an impact?
Well, like I said, the fire hose of information that voters are going to be getting in this election campaign is just going to be like, I think at some point people are just not going to listen, right? The fire hose goes both ways, right? We're just talking about Pierre and foreign interference, and now we're talking about Carney and his overseas tax havens or whatever the hell you want to call it. And he does talk a good talk about foreign interference, but his hands are just as dirty. I'm curious to know what leverage the Chinese Communist Party or Donald Trump will use because of Brookfield's alleged loans and his business ties with the United States. He said today that when it comes to Brookfield and when it comes to having an overseas tax haven or whatever you want to call it, that Canadian taxes are still paid. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would you send your money overseas and then bring it back into Canada? Like it doesn't pass the smell test. Again, like Brookfield is still going to keep on coming up and up and up and again because I think the conservatives are trying to build this story of, he ain't like us, to quote Kendrick Lamar, right? I don't know if it hasn't. Sorry?
I think that's the narrative. You explained that he ain't like us, right? He's just
right.
Rich,
right.
elite guy who travels the world and hasn't spent enough time in Canada and uses tax havens because he's very, very rich. Clearly, the average person is not using tax havens.
I'm not.
Yeah,
all my money is in Canada.
Neither am I. So I think it plays into the narrative of he's this out of touch guy who has no business governing our country. I don't know. It's like you said, the information. There's just too much information.
Yeah,
and it's
to be fair, to be fair to Carney, what I will say is, politically, I don't know how this is going to impact voters. I don't know how the foreign interference thing is going to impact voters because this is Wednesday. We're recording this on Wednesday and we're already talking about this stuff. Public opinion does not change in 5 hours, right? There are things that can have an immediate emotional impact on voters, but there are 30-something days, and if this is the steady stream of information that we're going to be getting for the next 35 days, I really don't know who's going to win the election. We'll talk more about Jagmeet in a second, but what people have to understand is this election is a binary choice. I know that we have 30 million different parties. We have 5 main parties, but this is going to be a binary choice between Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives and Mark Carney. And I think voters are starting to understand that because, you went back to talking about the tariffs that were announced today. Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on all autos made outside of the United States. what that executive order says, what that actually means. The prime minister said he doesn't even know. So we have to figure out how that's going to impact. But it's just, it's only day 3. It's only day 3. And I've never seen so much information.
Oh boy, I'm getting
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
gonna
we're
be.
not that.
We should clip this. The moment I discovered I'm old. It's when Cody
Yeah.
told me he was 14 when I got elected. Anyway, yeah, I get where you're going with this. It's a lot of information, and you're right. It's day 3, and this is what's happening. For sure, there's more coming. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna
Yeah.
okay, we got everything out on day 3. Now we can just go back to a regular campaign.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be
Because
like.
sorry, I'm gonna go on one more tiny little tangent.
Mhm.